Hello, everyone. This is your amateur looking for experts. Yes, I'm rubyshivers1, and I call myself an unapologetic amateur, and I'll explain why later. I am the author of 5 books, all nonfiction social commentaries, except one, of course, and that book is called The Quarters. It's a tale of everyday life in a mystical small southern town, told through the eyes of a family matriarch who experienced slavery, emancipation, and Jim Crowism. Now, over time, I will discuss each one of my books, but today I will talk about my latest, Why Shouldn't I Cry? Ode to the Black Man. Now, in this book, I talk about our history, but I believe to get a thorough understanding of who we are, one needs specific expertise. An expert, which I'm not. And while I am an expert in living black, I live that every day, but I'm not an expert in black living. There is a difference, you know. That requires studies in all levels of our humanity. And that concept was never more clear than when this pandemic hit. This pandemic of 2020 brought so much devastation and destruction that we knew it was something beyond what anyone, regardless of their social status, could make any sense out of. It hit this society so hard that we knew right away it would take experts to make any sense out of it. No one even tried, except Trump, of course, to be the expert. No one reached out to celebrities, educators, entertainers, the wealthy. No, they knew this required people with specific expertise. Now think about what the Africans have gone through and are still going through. I would suggest to you that what we've gone through as African people is worse than anything, including this virus, 3 times over. I say virus because I see our situation as a virus. Pandemic throughout the African world. I coined our experience as hashtag African Slave Virus 401. Think about how there has never been anything in the annals of history to compare. Oh, sure, there has been slavery, but nothing to compare to the 401 years of suffering the Africans have gone through. And unless you are an expert, it is difficult, if not impossible, to even begin to identify, analyze, and create a remedy for this virus. There have been so many syndromes that have metastasized from this African virus. The Willie Lynch syndrome, the Stockholm syndrome, abusive spouse syndrome, and on and on. So you see how it would take experts to wrap their collective brains around a diagnosis, let alone a treatment for what ails us. Now, we do have experts. One that comes to mind, historian Anthony Broder, or Dr. John Henry Clark, etc. But we have not been allowed to really utilize these experts. We've been given people, celebrities, etc., who become our pseudo-experts by virtue of their celebrity, their sportsmanship, their artistry, their Ivy League education. Clarence Thomas, for example, is a Harvard-educated Supreme Court justice. Doesn't qualify him to speak on the African before and after 400 years of slavery. Charles Barkley is a famous sports person. Kanye West, famous entertainer. Smokey Robinson, one of the greatest artists of all time, but he doesn't know the importance of having a land base to connect to. Barack Obama, our former president, love him dearly, but he's not an expert on Africanism. We all can speak to it, and we should. But when it comes to defining the extreme nuances of Africanism, send out the experts. Follow the science. Someone who has knowledge in all of the humanities. history, geography, anthropology, linguistics, physiology, biblical history, religious studies, sociology, etc., etc. The study of us as a people before, during, and now. Then you will have a truer picture of who we were, who we are now, and why we are who we are now. See, I have not studied all that in depth, and neither have many others. You will read about all this in my book, though. Now that I have established my amateurism, if that's a word, let me tell you about my book. I started writing this book after my husband made his transition some 6 years ago. He was a great man. My dad was a great man. My sons were and are great men. My grands are great men. My nephews are great men. Black men in general are great men. Not perfect, but great. Surrounded by all these great human beings, I wondered why they were so misrepresented. I started to say misunderstood, but they are not misunderstood. They are just misrepresented. My book starts off by speaking of the essence of the African man and revealing the branding of that African man, and then explaining some of the obvious results of these misrepresentations. I finished the book with a tribute to those brave men, past and present, who have withstood the test of time in spite of this attempted dehumanization. Hopefully, I will be doing this taping regularly and sharing information from my books. Hope that you will continue to follow me and, of course, purchase my book. You can go to Amazon or preferably on my website, www.rubyshivers1.com, or my email, rubyshivers158 at gmail.com, or hit me up on Facebook, Ruby Shivers, author. God bless, and see you next time.